Hi, I'm April Griffin from the Hillsborough County School Board, and you're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is Spotlight on Government, and I have a longtime friend, lady's been on the show a number of times, April Griffith, with us today. April, it's nice to have you on the show, and as a school board member, I guess it's kind of nice for you to be in a place that somebody's not yelling at you.
It is. Thank you for having me.
First question, why would anyone run for the school board? If you do your job, nobody cares. If one little thing goes wrong, everybody's standing there.
Well, I've learned that I'm going to make half the people happy sometimes and half the people unhappy.
That high
with any decision I make, I'm going to make half happy and half unhappy. No, I think that it's a desire to make a difference in our community. To be on the school board, to me, is one of the most important elected positions that anyone can hold. We're educating children. We're creating the workforce for our community. And we have to be committed to making sure that all of our students graduate with the skills that they need to be successful in the workplace.
I think I learned a lesson years ago that of all the government offices, the schools reaches into more homes and more businesses than anything else than any other government agency.
Absolutely. We're the largest employer in the community. We have over 200,000 students that cross our doors every single day. We transport 100,000 students a day. That's huge. That's a huge impact on the community. And all of the people that we graduate are going into either a post-secondary institution, a career and technical center, the military, or the workforce.
Wow.
So we have a huge impact on this community. We have the largest budget. We have a $3.2 billion budget.
Wow. Speaking of education, last time you were on the show, you had said you were going to school.
I was.
And how's the school going?
It's over. I'm done. I've graduated. I
Well,
now have my degree.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Outstanding. What is your degree in?
It's organizational studies, which is the psychological and sociological perspective of change management in complex organizations.
That's a mouthful all by itself.
It is. I have a hard time remembering it sometimes, but it's change management. It's motivation, it's leadership, and it ties in exactly with what I'm doing as a school board member. So I'm really excited.
You were very helpful in getting our new superintendent to come on the show with me. And I'm just absolutely taken with the man. He reminds me of Earl Leonard.
He's got a good heart. He's smart. He's his number one interest is the students.
The kids.
The students, the kids, absolutely. And he's a very steady leader. He's someone who is going to take in all of the information and dissect it and make the best decisions based on all of the information that he has accessible.
Not only that, he's homegrown.
He is, well, in the district, yes, but he's a Midwest person.
Well, yes,
farm raised.
But he came down here to teach.
But he came
school.
down here to teach, and he and his wife both taught in the system for over 20 years. And he when we appointed him, the phone calls and emails that I received telling me thank you, he was my principal, or he was my child's principal, or
okay.
I worked for him. It was just outstanding, the number of responses that we received based on his past performance. He's a very highly respected, very highly regarded person in this district. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to put him in the position, because we were shifting the culture in this district 180 degrees. And we needed someone who had the confidence of the employees in order to do that. We did take a lot of flack because we didn't go outside, because we didn't do a national search. But I felt that a national search would have been a dog and pony show. I knew who I wanted in the position because I'd worked with him for 2.5 years very closely, and I knew his capabilities. So again, for me, it was a decision about who could bring the employees 180 degrees from the direction that we were going, and I knew that he could do it.
What did you, and you were one of the far-sighted people that, I think at least, who saw we weren't going in the right direction. What were some of the things that led you to be able to see this when others didn't. And I have to admit, even myself, I questioned, are we letting this superintendent go who's supposed to be the top superintendent and forever or whatever? And I guess I was reading the press. What was it that you saw that gave you the insight that we needed to change a direction?
Oh, so much. First and foremost, I think it was the leadership style above anything else. When you are leading people, you have to do it with a servant leadership attitude.
Not my way or the highway.
Exactly, and actually I used those words in several of her evaluations when I would write her evaluations.
Oh, okay.
So it was a my way or the highway mentality that our former superintendent had. She was a very, very smart woman. I don't want to take that away from
No.
her. She was a very hardworking woman. That being said, she was working some people into the ground. There's working hard and there's working smart. And having to be in at 6:30 in the morning for staff meetings just so you can control everything that's taking place is not necessarily a smart way to work. I also knew that there were issues where the finances were concerned. So
And those are
and we're
crumbling
seeing now,
yeah.
I twice proposed a financial auditor to look at our finances. And maybe had we done that, woulda, coulda, shouldas, maybe had we done that, we would not be in the position that we're in right now, where we're trying to find over $100 million that we've spent down in deficit. But it was mainly leadership style. It was a lack of regard for the public, in that the superintendent is hired by the board. I'm hired by the public.
Right.
So she reported, Jeff reports to the public through the board. And the lack of regard that she had for board members and the constituents that they served was really appalling. So that was a big issue as well. I saw the public relations arm that she created within our school district that promoted her,
Yes.
not the district.
And very well. I
Very
might
well,
add.
absolutely, very well. Kudos to her for that, but I saw it, and so did others. And I think that having been through everything, if I had to go back and make the same decision again, knowing all of the fallout that would come from it, I would do it all over again without hesitation, because I feel absolutely confident that we did the right thing. And we're seeing now that there were some major, major issues.
I guess you are, with $150 million
$150 million.
hanging out there
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, that was being spent out of the fund balance. We were paying payroll out of our fund balance.
What happens here now with this whole situation, with the Gates grants and all of this? Does it go away, or what happens?
What we're going to do is we're going to take the best parts of the Gates grant. We've been a huge experiment for the nation, for education in the nation. And we are going to take the best parts of it and actually expand those. The mentors have been wonderful. We are going to take the peer evaluators, and that is probably going to go away, the peer evaluators. We're going to put the supports into the schools. So each school, and that's what was going to happen in the beginning, as I was told, that this was going to be the teachers coming out of the classroom for 2 years, and then after 2 years they were going to return back to their space that was saved for them and become leaders within that school and become a support system within that school. So we're taking that and we're going to create a hybrid model of sorts, and we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's not going to be an end-all for the Gates grant, because, by the way, we took the Gates money because the law had changed and we were forced to change the way that we evaluated teachers, to change the way that we hired teachers and the way that we fired teachers, and tenure went away. That was a state law, Senate Bill 736. So we knew that we were going to have to alter the way that we operated in that sense anyway, and we did. But we're going to keep the best parts of it, and we're going to get rid of the parts that we've found out were not successful.
You know, what's going to happen with the Gates Foundation then? Are they still going to be involved?
No, the Gates Foundation committed to $100 million. And at some point last year, in 2014, they decided that they were going to only give us the $80 million. So they're $20 million short on the commitment that they
Ouch.
made. But they said it was always only up to $100
Oh,
million,
okay. So,
which was not what I was led to believe. But the Gates Foundation is going to move in a different direction. I just read an article in the, I believe, the Washington Post that talked about Bill Gates saying that he's ready to move in a different direction, that this was a failed experiment. I don't think it was a failed experiment, though. I think that we learned that the mentors for new teachers, those first and second year teachers, was a huge success. Our retention rates for new teachers went through the roof. And we're going to expand that to give those mentors to the incoming teachers who are experienced but coming from another system, because the Hillsborough School District is huge. We're the eighth largest school district in the nation. So we've learned some lessons. I think that we're going to be much better for it. I will say that I believe that our evaluation system is better today than it was when I was first elected.
I personally believe very strongly that sometimes learning what won't work
Absolutely.
is as valuable as finding what will work sometimes, or at least leads you down that path.
Absolutely. And I think as a society, we've gotten to a point where we've created generations of people who are afraid to fail. And I've always said that you can learn more from a failure than you can from a success sometimes. So I hope that we're maybe taking a step back. We've been on the tip of the spear of reform for so long, of national reform for so long, that we've recognized our role to this community is much greater than our role on the national scale. And that's the road that we were heading down, and now we're taking a step back. We're going to simplify things a bit. We're focusing much more on career pathways for students and those alternative pathways for students, instead of that one-size-fits-all, every kid is going to college approach.
Preparing students for life is something now that you're moving towards. I have always loved the career centers.
We talked about them last time.
I am totally committed to the career centers. I'm thinking to myself, there are so many kids that if you taught them how to be plumbers, or you taught them how to be electricians, or you taught them just to simply be able to put a different row of blocks up and have them all line up in place, that they could make a really good living. And yet, you know, for whatever reason, those kids seem to get short shift, not necessarily here, but all over the nation.
I think our nation is starting to see a shift where that's concerned, though, too. The College Board is very, very involved in public education, public K-12 education. And you know, we're familiar with the military-industrial complex. Well, there's a public education industrial complex now. There's a lot of money to be had in public education. And those programs cost a lot of money, but the return on investment for those programs for a community as a whole is so much better. And you mentioned our new vision. Our old vision used to be in the top 1% of successful schools in the nation. And I was on the losing end of that one years ago with our board when they decided to go with it. It never meant anything to me, so I could never imagine how it meant anything to our teachers and to our employees who are preparing students for life. So it was really exciting for me that once we made the decision to terminate our former superintendent's contract, and once we hired our new superintendent, Mr. Akins, that we sat down and we started, we rewrote our vision and our mission and our strategic goals, and we're moving in, like I said, 180-degree different direction than we were going in. And our new vision, preparing students for life, means so much. And at the end of the day, what is it that we want from our students? At the end of the day, well,
they
personally,
need to know too.
Well, they do too. But personally, I want every single one of those students to be tax-paying citizens. It's very simple, because one day we're all going to be retired, and we need those people to be tax-paying citizens.
I have to tell you that I did seminars, and still do, all over the world. And one major chemical company, I will not tell you which one it was, hired me to do introductory supervision classes for all their new supervisors. I found that most of those new supervisors could not read to the 6th grade level.
Well, reading has always been a problem.
I had to read the manual to them. I couldn't just give it to them and say, read this tonight and then we'll discuss it tomorrow.
Well, we would.
It's the chemical industry.
You're,
Spills, danger.
You bring up a really good point there, though, and I would love to get your input on this as we move forward. We're getting ready to do a skills gap analysis with our business partners in this community, with large, small, and medium-sized businesses. And we're going to be reaching out to them because anecdotally, we've all heard they don't know, the students or the people that we hired don't know how to show up on time. They don't know how to show up. They don't know how to dress. They don't know how to look people in the eyes when they speak to them. They don't know how to shake somebody's hand. They don't know how to get along with their coworkers, or they don't know how to work in a team. These are all anecdotal things that we've heard, but what we're getting ready to do is a skills gap analysis countywide, and we're going to find out what it is that the business community feels our graduates are missing once they enter the workforce. Once we do that, once we complete the skills gap analysis, we're then going to create curriculum that is not a 5-day course in a 9-week period, or not something that they have to take in their senior year when they all have senioritis. It's going to be something that we interweave into the fabric of their entire education. So from the time that we get them, we're going to be teaching these lessons all across their entire career path. And it's going to overlap and scaffold. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited about what's in store. I'm really excited.
I taught up at Edison College in Ohio, and we went out to our people and asked them, what do they want from these students? And the number one thing was have them show up and have them show up on time.
On time, right.
And that's when we decided that you had to go to class. If you didn't go to class, you got dinged for it. Otherwise, they didn't have to show up. They'd come in for the test, and that was it. If they could pass it.
Right. Well, they're lacking in the soft skills, the communication. Text messaging has changed their brains, and we know this. So we've got to understand what technology has done to our society, and we've got to speak to them in a way that they understand. So we're using technology in the classroom more, but we're also going to be teaching those soft skills that they need so that they can work with people and communicate, and not just send a text message, but to walk up to somebody and say, Bill, I need your help with something. Can you help me with this, or whatever?
I laughed when you said that. I wasn't on camera at the time, but I have to tell you, why is it they call the soft skills the hardest things to learn?
Right.
Seriously, I've been teaching this kind of skill, communication skills, to corporations and various people from all over the world. One of my clients is the Undersecretary of the U.S. Navy. And I have to tell you that colleges and schools are doing a horrible job. Most people hate to take a speech class. They'd rather walk in backwards so they don't have to see it till they get there. The students are not being given the best education. What they're given is a regurgitation of what the instructor learned without any real-world experience.
They're being taught to take a test. And that's something that we're fighting right now, too, is the testing that's happening. But a lot of these things are falling on schools to manage and to teach. I grew up in a home where I was taught manners. I was taught how to sit down at a table in mixed company and eat politely. I was taught how to look somebody in the eye. I was taught how to shake someone's hand. So a lot of those skills are just not being taught to kids in the home, unfortunately.
Not only that,
those are falling on us.
Not only that, but just like this young lady who refused to leave when her teacher asked her, when an administrator asked her, and when a police officer gave her direction, she refused to leave in all those situations, continued to make problems in the class. I don't agree with the way the police officer handled this particular situation, but now they're trying to make a hero out of her.
Right.
I mean, come on, people. That's wrong.
We've got to teach respect. And that's something that, again, when I talk about interweaving it into the fabric of their entire education, you're not going to teach something like that in a 1-hour course or a 5-day course. It has to be something that is ongoing.
Exactly.
And, it's so funny now. My children are no longer children. They're both grown young men now, and they're making their way in the world. And they've now come back to me and thanked me. And those are the the conversations that parents wait for. But the things that they've thanked me for are those lessons that I taught them. And
I totally agree
yeah,
with you.
so
And going to the school system, I will occasionally go into the school systems, especially when they have the Great American Teach-In and things like that. I love to go in and talk to at-risk students, because I was one of those.
right,
I knew that kind of seat. I know where they're sitting.
me too.
And I love going there. But I look at some of the teachers, and I'm sorry, they're wearing T-shirts, they're wearing jeans. If you want respect, you dress for respect. You're disrespecting the student to go in there looking like you just climbed out of the rubbies.
Well, you can't expect them to.
So it's a two-way street, I'm saying.
Well, yeah, definitely respect is a two-way street, and our teachers have to respect our students and where they're at this stage in our world. But I agree with you that the teachers should always, when I was in the classroom, I substitute taught and was on my way to becoming a teacher before I ran for school board, and I always dressed professionally.
Yes.
And I always conducted myself professionally. I had fun with the kids, I joked with them, but there was a mutual respect that I expected in that classroom, and I got it.
Why don't school systems have some kind of dress code?
We
for their
do.
employees?
It's up to the principals of the schools to enforce them.
So if you have somebody who's not a good dresser, that's the principal, the school system goes.
Or somebody who chooses their battles in different ways.
Okay.
You know, we have what's called site-based administration in Hillsborough County. So there are a lot of things that if I was running a school, I would do things differently than some of the things I see when I walk through our schools.
If I were king of the world, a lot of things would change.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've got just a few minutes. What are the things that we didn't talk about this time that we can squeeze into a minute or two?
I'm really excited about the partnerships that we're getting ready to create with our business community. And if there are any business partners that want to join us, please email me at april.griffin@sdhc.k12.fl.us or call me at 813-272-4045. And I'll put you in touch with staff, and we'll sit down and talk about how we can help you and how you can help us, how we can be partners to help make this community great.
What are some of the things you might ask of a business partner? What are things that they could bring to the equation that would be helpful to you and that would be meaningful?
Knowledge of what it is that like I said, with the skills gap analysis, what is it that the students are lacking or the graduates are lacking when they come to them? Internships. We have these programs in our career and technical for high school students and even some of our post-secondary career and technical programs. My son is right now, my oldest son is in the EMT program, and he's getting ready to go into the firefighter academy. He's been doing clinicals and things like that. So we're always in need of companies who are willing to partner with us and give internships or let people shadow on jobs to give people a feel. Come in and teach at the Great American Teach-In. We would love to have people.
I truly encourage you, if you have anything you might want to offer, the Great American Teach-In is a wonderful opportunity to see these kids in their way they live and the way they do and meet with some of the teachers. I think it's fabulous. I have truly enjoyed that.
And give the kids a view into their world too. I always say, show me the money. Show the kids the money. You know, walk in. I know plumbers who are making 6 figures. They own a business. They're business owners. They might not have started out that way, but they've grown and built themselves. So we can get people into our schools and let the kids see that there are options for them once they graduate. That's what we need.
I just think that's so fabulous. I, as a kid, when I graduated from the 8th grade, my teacher had my mother in tears. We'd been in this country for 2 years, and she told my mother that she hated me, she didn't want me back, and she was passing me only because she didn't want me in class, but I'd be in a reform school before I got on the 9th grade. Well, I would love to have sent her a copy of my book so she knows that didn't happen. But encouragement
Absolutely.
from teachers. you know, I don't care what we look at a teacher and we say, oh, it's just a teacher. No, it's not just a teacher. We teach these kids that these teachers are important, that they're intelligent, that they have messages, and we expect them to respect them. And they do. In many ways, they respect these. And so the words coming out of the teacher is extremely important.
Absolutely.
The encouragement.
Absolutely. You know, self-fulfilling prophecy is a real thing. And if all, and I know Jeff has talked about this a lot, if all of our students have an advocate in their school, then we're going to be great. Our kids are going to be great. So another thing that we're looking for from our business community and our partners in the community and retired people, mentor. We need mentors in our schools, volunteers and mentors, so that, you know, there's a lot of students who are homeless. There's a lot of students who don't have two parents in their home. They have a single mom, or they might not have somebody who cares about them in their life. And to be able to walk into that school and know that at least one person in that school cares for them is huge to some of these kids.
Oh, yeah, because some of the homes, they don't have anybody.
Absolutely.
We had talked, Jeff and I had talked after the show about maybe doing a show called Superintendent's Corner or something like that, and doing a half hour just on a regular basis, talking about what's going on in the schools, what his vision is. And I think, April, if there's one thing that you can look back on, I believe that one of your great successes will be him coming on as superintendent.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been April Griffin. April is the school board, Hillsborough County school system, 8th largest in the entire world. Can you imagine that? We live in the system that's the 8th largest in the world. April, I appreciate your being here. You're unique, you're special, and you're great. Tell yourself so often because you are, you know. And we'll see you on the next Spotlight on Government. And again, April, thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me.